Hey everybody, Stu Smith here going live, and we will be showing some CSS critiques today and taking some questions. But before we do, let's discuss a few things. First of all, um, check out the podcast I did yesterday. It's Tactical Fitness Report 226. I did that with Lieutenant Colonel Behringer, Nick Behringer, nutritionist, PhD, and we talked a lot about nutrition, supplementation, especially for joint health and injury healing. So let's see what you think of that one. He's a really smart guy, does a ton of research, and starts applying it not only to his folks that he teaches, but as well as himself. So, um, also, I wanted to talk a little bit about bringing back another podcast that I haven't done in a while, the two through and after. Today, I have a former Army Ranger who is coming on. He's going to talk about his journey and what he's doing now. Um, Thought I needed some Army representation on that two through and after series, which should be really neat. And then finally, as we get people watching and checking in, I want to discuss my yearly running program. And I've been working on this for 25 years. And over the course of 25 years, it is basically a bell curve of running. So the running months in January and February are kind of low. We start progressing in the spring into the summer, we max out, and then we come back down in the fall, back into the winter where the running's pretty low, but the lifting is high. So there's different elements of fitness that we're working on different types of the year. But I've just found that the bell curve model has been very helpful in not only myself reducing running injuries, but everybody I coach. So this is the way I do it. And you have to remember, this is not coming from a running coach. You know, running coach might have you run a lot more miles, might have you run a lot more sprints. It just depends on the goals. But I typically coach non running athletes. So I have to deal with people who have shin splints because they just started running first time ever. They're nursing athletic injuries post surgery, trying to get out of athletics and into the military, and they have to rehab, and it's a completely different style of running from what they've done. So this is my model of training, and that's what it's for. So check this out. I think you'll like this. I'll walk you through each month here as we get people on, and I will explain it. Um, and then we'll take some questions. It doesn't have to be particularly about this, it can be about anything. And then in between questions, we'll show some CSS critiques. So, as you can see, my winter months, and remember, this is plus or minus 10 miles per week, depending on the person. Is that person new to running? If so, probably be on the lower side of this volume. Is he a person that has no problem adding these extra miles and needs to practice more running? I would probably do more running with that person. So plus or minus 10. Though I will say this, we rarely go above 20 miles a week in the winter. So we're usually somewhere between 10 and 15. Sometimes people will reach up to 20 if they need to run a little more and they're not having running pain issues. So here's the way it works: January, February, March, we're kind of flat lined out 10 to 15 miles a week, give or take. And really, what this model here is focusing on this phase here is focusing on speed. So it is shorter, faster runs. It is no long, slow distance. If you're doing any aerobic base training, it is non-impact. So it would be biking, it might be rowing, might be stair stepping on a leg day, or swimming, obviously, especially if you're going into the diving world, for spec ops training. So flat lines here, we're really focusing on gaining mass and strength here, starting here in like late November or November and on into late February, early March. Then we start progressing. This is about our spring progression. It starts transitioning into, definitely more mileage per week and a little less lifting, transitioning from lifting into calisthenics. So that's like a 50-50 split. So we may warm up with calisthenics and do some lifting, mix that in a little bit, but do a little more calisthenics than lifting because we're trying to push down the lifting and increase more repetitions, increase more volume in both calisthenics and cardio. Then we start peaking it out. And sometimes we get anywhere between, I would say, 35 and 45. Some people go a little higher. Some people are down here. I'm personally at this range right here between 30 and 35 miles per week. I haven't hit over 40 in a very long time. I usually just kind of hover here. But I'm also not preparing for any spec ops jobs. Though I do have guys that are preparing for spec ops jobs that aren't getting over 30 right now. And they're really focusing on shorter, faster runs versus, really putting in some longer distance runs. But here we are. We peak here. Usually our volume and our running volume and our calisthenics volume are at its height in the summer. And we are right about here now. So if you put that at September, early September, we're right here. We're starting to come on down the slope a little bit. And like I said, this is plus or minus 10 to 15. I personally will be dropping down to 25 miles this week. But if you notice, we hit this whenever it is fall, probably end of this month, we will make a steep drop and come down to this 25-mile a week zone. Once again, plus or minus 10 to 15. And we focus on speed. This is really goal pace running, focusing on shorter timed runs at like a 6-minute mile pace. If you do any longer runs, it's like 4 to 5 mile runs, but you're focusing on that 7-minute mile pace just to be in good stead with competitive training programs. And that's going to take us through the fall until we get to our winter cycle. And by the way, I just created this system here, and what we did with the fall transition workout is we actually came up with like 25 miles a week for the first 6 weeks, and then we dropped it down to 20 miles a week for the next 6 weeks. And then the winter is going to take that drop down to 15, and we're really going to focus on lifting. And that 15 miles is really shorter distance runs, it's shuttle runs, it's sprints, it's more power oriented running and speed, obviously. Though we will keep up some timed run type mileage too. So 1.5 2-mile timed runs is probably about the most we will do. So if you do the math on a 15-mile week and you say you run 5 days a week, you still can run 3 miles a day. So that's not too bad, right? It's not too much that's going to prevent you from gaining weight. It's only 3 miles. If you do it fast enough, you're talking 20 minutes. And it's a different energy system altogether. So especially when you're really pushing the pace. And then we get into the lift cycle and come back around in the year. So I am working on seasonal tactical fitness periodization models. In fact, it's so new I don't even have copies of the book right now. These are other books. I don't even have them from the printer yet, but you can order them and they will get shipped directly to you from the printer. Seasonal tactical fitness fall transition. And by the end of this month, I'll have the winter phase done. Probably start winter there in December, maybe late November, and push through to the spring. And then I'll have spring and summer done. My goal is to have spring and summer done by the new year. Um, so we have the whole new 4-book cycle or series of the complete seasonal tactical fitness periodization model. And it's going to encompass this running program, and you will just be doing chunks of it depending on what month of the year it is. So that is my running program. Once again, it is a running program. It is not the only running program. It works for me. It works for many other people that I coach. But I will tell you, there are some people that I coach that need something a little different, and they need to do a few more longer, slower distance runs in order to see the results they are are seeking. Because and I would only push that on people who are not going to fall apart if I add 10 miles a week to them, with a 10-mile run on Saturday. People who are susceptible to shin splints, knee tendonitis, things like that, especially bigger guys, bigger athletes, I would do more non-impact with them. So that's been my system for 24 years now. So, or some version of that. So let's see. You guys got any questions? I see Mikhail's up. Hope you're doing well, Mikhail. I can go right into a CSS if there are no questions. In fact, let me pull those up for the next C. Does this cycle produce peak performance at any time of the year? Well, here's the deal. This cycle is really for people who are trying to improve on all their elements of fitness in a year's period. Because I will tell you, it is very difficult to peak in running pace and speed of timed runs, especially longer timed runs, at the same time as you're trying to increase your strength, right, with heavy lifting and things like that. So that's why I have 2 separate cycles of muscle stamina and endurance together in that spring and summer. And then I have fall and winter really more focused on strength, power, speed, agility, hypertrophy, pick up some mass, drop some mileage. But it depends on what you're asking. Are you asking, are we able to maintain those PST numbers and short 1.5 mile, 2 mile timed run numbers in the winter? Yes, because that's our goal. All we're doing is trying to maintain those numbers in the winter while we focus on some strength numbers, right? When we come back around into the summer, spring and summer, we're trying to improve our endurance and muscle stamina while we maintain that strength base that we've created over the winter. So, yes, you will be capable in all the elements of fitness, but peaking in all of them, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're happy with all of your levels of performance. Then, yes, have a different type of plan where it's more of a maintenance plan year round. That is something that you could do. You can do more lifting and running together and just maintain. You're not trying to improve upon necessarily either one of them, in a great deal. You're just trying to maybe drop your run time by 20 seconds, or you're trying to increase your bench press by 15, 20 pounds. You're not trying to make remarkable improvements of like gaining 20 pounds of mass, right? That's hard to do. And that requires a specific cycle in order to do that. Or you're trying to gain strength for the first time, in your training cycle ever, because you've been an endurance athlete forever, or vice versa. You're trying to improve your running and your swimming because you're a strength athlete. You've never run or swam before. So that's what this answers. This is seasonal tactical fitness periodization. This is not world-class powerlifting, marathon training. It's none of that. You are done with your athletic competition. Right now, it's a tactical fitness competition that looks a little different. It's similar, but it looks a little different in its concept of training because you have to get good at all of these skills, where when you were an athlete, you did not necessarily have to have really good skills in certain elements of fitness. You just had to be great at a few elements of fitness. All right. Like, for instance, have you ever seen a swimmer run an agility ladder, or seen a 250-pound football player run a 3-mile timed run? There are things that don't mix very well sometimes. Sometimes there are hybrids out there and freaks that can do both of those things very well. It's not common in today's athletic specialty world. Now, when you were a multi-sport athlete, different story. If you played football, wrestled, and lacrosse, man, you probably were a beast out there really quick, and probably needed maybe a few months to prepare for spec ops jobs because you were just already strong, you were fast, you were tough. You had some endurance too. Maybe all you needed to do is learn how to swim, and boom, you were gone. So that's what this is for. I have a PFT at the end of the month. How do I peak for my max pull-ups leading up to the event? Well, to gain pull-ups in a short period of time is pretty hard to do. I won't lie to you. Now, you can make it so they're a little easier. And the best I have been able to do in a few week period is this little 2-week protocol where you do daily pull-ups for 10 days, and then 4 days later you rest for 4 days and you test on day 14. So check out this link I just put in the comment section. It's from Stu Smith Fitness. It's a 2-week protocol, and you'll see, whatever your pull-ups are today, take a max test, multiply that number by 5. So let's say you do 10 pull-ups, multiply that 5, that's 50 pull-ups. You have to do 50 pull-ups a day for 10 days straight. Then on days 11, 12, 13, you rest. On day 14, you test and see where your numbers are. I don't recommend doing that over and over again because it defeats the purpose, and typically daily repetitions of calisthenics at that kind of volume gets a little challenging. Now, you should be able to mix these into your normal workout routine. It's not just a pull-up and that's all you do. You should be running, doing push-ups, swimming, whatever you need to do, getting all those workouts in. Just don't do any pulling for days 11, 12, 13. And then you test on 14. Test it out, see what happens. And it works. It works. I've seen it work really well. Is treadmill use going to be part of winter program to help maintain run times? Yeah, but it also depends on where you live. You live in Florida, go run outside. I live in Maryland. We still run outside. I never use the treadmill inside unless it's like really icy and potentially dangerous to run out there because I will slip and fall. But we run in sub-freezing temperatures often, as long as as long as there's no ice. But yeah, it depends on you. You don't like running in the cold? Go on a treadmill. Joe asks where my accent is from. I didn't even know I had an accent. I'm from North Florida, Southern Georgia. originally. So I talk like I am from there, but when I go back there, they tell me I sound like a Yankee. So I don't know. Maybe I thought I lost it, but guess not. Do you think full-time tactical athlete can prepare for an ultra marathon while maintaining other elements of fitness? Very hard to do. I've seen it happen, and I've seen guys that are on teams, right, break because they're doing ultra marathons. Then they weren't useful for doing their job because they were injured. So you have to balance that out. Your capability, your durability of being able to handle that is kind of on an individual basis. I've seen guys handle it. I've seen guys um, do their job and still train for Ironmans before. A lot of SEALs were doing Ironmans back in the 90s, um, and they were fine. Some weren't. Some were always banged up. We had one dude that was really messed up because he got in a bike wreck, almost died. So, it comes with a risk. Are you risking your ability to perform at work because you're injured or just plain tired? I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying be aware there are some risks to it. If I am too negatively buoyant to float during the drown proofing test, is it still possible to pass? Yes. I could do push ups on the bottom of the pool when I was at Buds. So I was that negative. All I had to do was just sit there and I would sink, even with a full chest of air. So what they allow you to do is you bend at a 90-degree angle. So this is your back right here, and you try to keep your back up to the surface of the water, right, and try to get that surface tension on there, kind of hold you up there a little bit. And then if you're here, right, here's the surface of the water, here's your back. You just do little dolphin kicks here to help you stay up. Now the rule is you can't travel with that. So you might have to go in circles, right, with all these little dolphin kicks like that, but you want to stay up to the surface, and you can do a little dolphin kick every now and then. You'll sink a little when you come up to breathe, and then do a couple dolphin kicks, get back up. You just got to look relaxed. That's the key. But it can be done. It's not an easy event. I will tell you, though, all the other events of drown proofing will be easier for you because you're negative. Bottom bouncing will be easy. Front flip, back flips will be easy because you kick off that bottom, do a front flip. Next thing you know, you're down on the bottom again, ready to start bobbing. Back flip, same thing. Land on the bottom, start bobbing. Um, Whereas the positive guys have a really hard time with those three events because they're constantly just kind of floating in the water, and they got to kick to get up to the surface because they can't get down to the bottom unless they exhale all of their air. So my suggestion is try not to be so negatively buoyant. That means, yes, put on some mass. No one cares you got a six pack. Put on a little bit of mass, and you'll be a little warmer. And see if that helps you. Just interested if you ever had shoulder tendonitis or rotator cuff injuries and how you work around it. I have not had much shoulder tendonitis or rotator cuff injuries. However, I have had a shoulder separation right here, which is basically just my AC joint, right? So my clavicle you can see how my clavicle kind of pops up here. So and for this one and for other shoulder injuries I have used the lightweight shoulder workout, and it's in most of my programs. In fact, probably all of my programs except for Complete Guide to Navy SEAL Fitness, because I created this after that book came out. Light shoulder workout, Stu Smith. Google it. You'll pick up this article, and you only use 5 pounds or less in this lightweight shoulder workout. Check it out. Try to see it. Try to check it out. It's really good. You can do it with dumbbells. You can do it with bands. but it's a good way to kind of rebuild after an injury. I learned it from a physical therapist, so I've been doing it every upper body day. I do this little 6 exercise series. It takes like 3 minutes. That's a great way to just kind of cool down your upper body. Let's see. I just got negatively buoyant. That's a new experience again. Ah, good. Fat floats, and it's not so bad when in the water for a long time. That is true. One, it keeps you warm and it keeps you floating. Eric, my former Marine buddy. Any tips on training in a calorie deficit? Yeah, I mean it's nothing new. We all do it, especially when we're trying to lose some weight. My recommendation, if you're training hard, um, is to actually um, oh, sorry, getting a phone call here. Um, is to time some carbs before you go work out. So what I do is just have a little bit of extra carbs with me during my workouts. Before my workouts, I'll eat a banana or maybe an apple or something just to have some fruit in there. And then during the workout, if I'm starting to feel lightheaded and dizzy, I just sip a couple sips of Gatorade, put you back into the, you know, feeling normal again. Though you may have to drop down the intensity a little bit for the remaining parts of that workout because you're running low on fuel. And if you can keep your heart rate down a little bit, you can be in that, you know, non uh, glycogen using, blood sugar using uh, exercise zone. You can be more in that lower heart rate fat burning mode. So if you got no more glycogen, you're gonna burn fat as your energy source. So that's how I do it anyway. That's how I understand how it works. How does the military deal with morbidly obese people? Um, yeah, I don't really know. I've never really seen it that much. Every now and then you have somebody who's been injured or sick and they come back overweight and they're on a weight loss program, whether that is mandatory or voluntary. I've seen it both ways, and if they don't lose weight by a certain amount of time, they usually give them a good amount of time, 6 months to a year. If they haven't seen progress in that time, um, they can be kicked out. So I've seen it both ways. I've seen people turn their life around and pass fitness tests and be able to lose weight and meet height weight standards or at least the body fat standards. And I've seen it where they didn't and they were kicked out. So even midshipmen at the Naval Academy, sometimes that happens to them as well. They get kicked out for uh, height weight or body fat or PFT failures. All right, so let's do this. Let me share my screen. Let me pull up a couple of swims here. See what this one looks like. All right, so you guys can see this. Good. All right, let's see what's going on. Let me see how his kickoff looked. All right, good kickoff. Double arm pulls, not bad. Coming up. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. So I do see this though. See, it's not bad. Sometimes I see people really over rotating and they're looking backwards at you. He doesn't appear to be doing that from this angle. I can't really tell. But this is really efficient. You notice he got a really good glide. Looks smooth. It's a little slow, probably for my liking. I think this is kind of like a walk in the park pace. So there's a level of intensity that you need to apply to this swim. And that means pulling harder, kicking harder, going faster. So top arm, bottom arm, kick. I mean, he's got the mechanics down of this really well. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. Probably could glide a little bit, start the pull a little bit earlier, but he's just not pulling hard enough nor kicking hard enough to create enough speed to go faster than a 1 minute 50, right? So that was a 10-minute pace right there. And even though it was efficient, it was just slow. And, he could kick off a little harder, build some momentum, keep that momentum up into the stroke. And when you see guys like do a 25 yard and like he's going to do it in 4 or 5 strokes, there's a fast version and there's a slow version. This is just the slow version, right? He needs to pull harder and kick harder in order to go faster. That's pretty much it, right? Everything else, he's got everything down. He just needs to put more effort. I equate this to, like I was telling you, like a walk in the park compared to a 1.5 mile timed run. You can walk that 1.5 miles, nice, easy, talk on your phone, chilling out, or you can run it like you mean it and get a good time on it. That's where he needs to be. He needs to be in that timed run zone versus the walk in the park zone. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. So it looks like I do not have any questions. Let me see. Let's do another video, eh? All right, so this was yesterday. Let me see what this one looks like. Okay, this one's pretty good. I thought it was nice. This is a 40-yard pool or 20 yards back and forth. So let's see how, oh, you guys can't see this, can you? Okay. Let me share this. All right, so here we go. Kick off the wall, good streamline. Double arm pull looks good. Transitions out. I will say this. I mean, he's got a breaststroke kick here, but I really think it's way too big, right? There's no need to have this really big leg spreading breaststroke kick here. Because when you're out this far, it does slow you down a little bit. So, your breaststroke power really comes from just a slight opening of the hips and a hard whip kick from the knees down. So, though it's a decent breaststroke and it produces, I think if you learn how to do a breaststroke with your legs not so far apart, I think you may have even a better time for that one. Sorry, my dog is barking upstairs. Let's see. Top arm, bottom arm, kick, hold the glide. Yeah, this is good though. I mean, it's 40-second 40. So, I mean, he's on a good pace, 38-second 40, even better. So it's fast enough. It just needs I mean, it's kind of a nitpicky thing to tell somebody his kick's wonky when it's working for him. But technically, yeah, he could not spread his legs so much. Hey, settle down up there. Parker, come here. So I'm from Greece and I'm following carefully your guides about PST prep and especially CSS critique, preparing for next year to join Greek SEALs. Would like to. Okay, where are you? I think I missed your. So you simply not supposed to flutter kick during the CSS. Well, is it a rule that you can't? No. Is it a recommendation I make because it's a waste of energy for most people? Yes. Now, I will say this. If you really follow the letter of the stroke, letter of the rule, letter of the law of the stroke is a top arm pull, a bottom arm pull, an inhale, one kick, and a glide. It's no flutter kicks. So let's say you were taking a class and somebody was teaching the CSS, they may grade it to a point where you can't add these extra flutter kicks in. Now, is somebody who's given a PST going to make that same have that same opinion to grading it? I doubt it. I think the biggest concern for most people grading the test is that it's an underwater recovery stroke. So if they see an high elbow coming out of the water versus an underwater, like a breaststroke recovery, then they're going to call you for this high elbow sharking, finning, whatever they call it, high elbow thing. Would like to know if they accept CSS versus the freestyle stroke. You know what, George? I don't know what your country does, to be honest with you. You need to find out, from whatever the oiks do out there. What is the logo on your shirt? Also, what was that on your hoodie yesterday, if you recall? This is a Team Red 4 logo. My buddy, former Navy SEAL, this is his racing team logo. Does Ironmans. Good guy. Check out teamred4.com, I think. You can check him out. He was also the oldest SEAL, to my knowledge, to ever graduate SEAL training, or oldest person to graduate SEAL training. He was 38 years old when he finished BUD/S. So, interesting story there, huh? My logo yesterday, I think I wore the black hoodie. It was just a friend of mine gave me that shirt. It's has the cardinal virtues on there, courage, justice, honor. What's the cardinal virtues? You guys Stoics. Any Stoics out there? Cardinal virtues. So it says prudence, justice, fortitude, temperance. There's other definitions for them too. Courage, discipline, temperance. And it had some like fins and mask on it. It was just, like I said, it was a gift. Got a question about BUD/S. Why do so many athletic guys fail? I hear D1 athletes can't even pass Navy SEAL training. That's not true. They do. I mean, there's a cross section of society who makes it and fails BUD/S. I've seen guys that had no athletic experience make it through BUD/S, and I've seen Olympians make it through BUD/S. Pro athletes make it through BUD/S. So it's a wide variety. I don't have an answer for why anybody doesn't make it through BUD/S, because there's so many reasons why people don't make it through BUD/S. I've actually, I think I've probably written an article about it, about why people fail Spec Ops. Top 10 reasons why people fail Spec Ops training. Let's see if I can find it. Top 10 reasons why people fail Special Ops training. Put my name in there, Stu Smith, see what you get. Boom! There's an article called Top 10 Reasons Why People Fail at Special Ops. It's just fun. I like doing that. So, top 10 reasons you're not a good runner. Your swimming skills are lacking. You do not prepare for rucking. You lack muscle stamina or endurance. You sustained an injury. Your tactical skills are not strong enough, aka you can't learn new skills quickly and reproduce them. You lack confidence in the water. You can't overcome your fear. You can't deal with instructors' mind games. Physical discomfort beats you. There you go. Top 10 reasons. I think I've written a couple articles on that one, actually. Let's see. Stu, for non-swimming athletes, what do you suggest guys pick up or do to develop enough water confidence to do well at BUD/S? I've heard scuba diving, free diving, especially surfing, can be a great help. Surfing's great. Scuba diving's great. I mean, free diving, I guess, is kind of different. Um, I never did free diving. I mean, I do snorkeling a little bit, but um, never did any free diving. Definitely scuba diving. I've been scuba diving since I was probably 12, 13 years old. Um, that was a big confidence boost in the water. Um, and if you didn't grow up in the water as a kid, you're going to have to play catch up. And that probably means swimming 5 days a week, you know, treading for the first 5, 10 minutes of it. Use treading as your warm up or your cool down. And then you do the 50-50 workout, for instance, which I think is a really great tool for non-swimming athletes to get into better swimming shape. But at the same time, when you add in skills like the drown proofing and the treading, you can really enhance your water confidence. But the only way you're going to do it is get in the water. So all my non-swimming athletes, I have them in the pool 5, sometimes 6 days a week. And I've seen them go from 10-minute swims to 8-minute swims in 3 weeks using that CSS. Once I cleaned up their technique, just got them in swimming shape after that. And that took about 3 weeks. Okay. Watching a Jake video. I've seen people who work really hard and not make it. I would like to try out for buds. I feel like I won't make it through Hell Week. Well, if you feel like you won't make it, you probably won't. So you need much better attitude than that going in. What brand protein and fish oil supplements? You know what? I don't know. I just bought this from the grocery store. No, nothing fancy. Fish oil, Care One. I mean, you could spend a lot more money on Gucci or brands, but you know, let's see. Joe asks, this is probably an overly broad question, but for your guys competing for Army SF selection, when do you know that they're ready for SFAS? The physical requirements essentially identical to NSW candidates. Yeah, you know what? My NSW or the main difference between my NSW candidates and my SFAS candidates is swimming. My SFAS candidates are not swimming. Now, if they are, it's more as a cool down treading drill just to kind of loosen their legs after they've been rucking while the Navy guys were swimming. That's the biggest difference. Everything else is the same. Calisthenics the same, weightlifting the same. The Army guys will ruck more, the Navy guys will swim more. That's how it's balanced out. Same running program, just sometimes we'll add a longer ruck for the Army guys on the weekend where the Navy guys will be running. Though there is rucking at Navy too. It's just not as much as the Army guys. So you need to get used to rucking, but you don't need to master it like you do in the Army. If you need to get better at swimming, you have to swim. That's 100% sure. Eric, tell them how much you swim every week and your annual average swimming. This is you guys are gonna shit on this one. Hell Week, they say you run 200 miles total. I don't know about that, to be honest with you. You might travel 200 miles total, but I don't know. I mean, I remember doing it, but I don't remember running that much. I mean, that would be 20 to 25 miles a day, which we did a lot. I don't think we came that that we did that much. Probably did over 100 miles in a week. No, shit. 40 miles a day. What am I thinking? Yeah, 40 miles. No, we didn't come close to that. Might have done more closer to 100 in a week. I would like to see, actual stats on that. Everybody's ballparking, and you probably heard an exaggerated ballpark figure when you heard 200 miles in 5 days. All right, there's a Marine Raider, Nick. Yeah, I know Nick. I had him on my running program. I had him on my podcast, two through and after. We talked about his whole story. Who had this? Who had this running program? It was like 5 miles of runs with quarter-mile sprints, quarter-mile jogs. Did wonders. Oh yeah, that works great. Highly recommend it. We do sprints, we do jogs, we do those intervals shifts like that. We also practice goal mile pace. So that means, if you're going to do a quarter mile and you want to do your timed run in, let's see, a mile and a half in 9 minutes or less, you need to be running those quarter miles in 90 seconds or less. Now, there's nothing wrong with hitting a 70-second quarter mile, but that's not really going to help you with your timed runs. Specifically, it'll help you with your overall conditioning, sure. But mastering the pace and knowing the pace and being able to handle the pace for whatever distance your timed run is a great way to prepare for that as well. If the PJs train in water, does that mean they rescue people in water? Yes. Come on, man. What kind of question is that? They rescue people all the time. That others may live is not just, that's their motto. They save people all the time. Did you see The Perfect Storm, Joe? You should watch The Perfect Storm. PJs and the Coast Guard are out there saving people. Sometimes I feel like I'm Spec Ops Google to some of you people. All right, let's go to a swim. Let's see what this one looks like. All right. Okay, here we go. Kicking off the wall, looking okay, pretty streamlined. All right. Okay, pull out. Okay, that was weird. What was that? Oh, he kicked in transition and then he changed side. Okay, so oh, look at that. Do you guys notice that? So notice this side. When he's on this side, he kicks properly. All right, top leg goes forward. I would say that's his strong side here. That's going to be a more comfortable side for him with that top leg forward and bottom leg going backwards. Now watch what happens when he changes sides here for whatever reason. Top leg goes backwards. But it's the exact same kick as he was doing on his strong side when his top leg was going forward. So he's doing a strong side kick on his weak side. That's where he's screwing this one up. This is a really common error. So I'm glad I found this one. A lot of people do this. And where I normally see it is like if he were to come back on his strong side, it would look perfectly normal. But he's coming back on his weak side with that strong side kick. So if he just changed sides, it would look remarkable. So this is his weak side. It may not feel like his weak side, but it is because he has a natural tendency to kick with his left foot forward, right foot backwards. That means your left side is your strong side in the way I define strong and weak. Does that make sense to you guys on that one? Not sure if Eric is still on anymore, but Eric is swimming crazy amounts. Like trying to get, I don't know, 100,000 meters in a year or something like that. Pretty nuts. So he swims about at least 5K a day almost. It's insane. 1 million in a year? Whew. Damn, dude. So are you doing like 100K a month almost? I did 100K in March. Holy crap. Dude, that's a lot of time swimming. I'm impressed. I don't think I could look at a black line for that long. That's badass. So what's the book I'm working on? I mentioned it before, the first 10 minutes of this uh CSS critique show. It's called Seasonal Tactical Fitness Periodization, and I just created the fall transition phase, and I am working on the winter phase now. And then by the end of the year, hopefully, I should have the spring and summer phase done. So it's a 4-part series, all 4 seasons: fall, winter, spring, summer. And it focuses on that um, seasonal tactical fitness periodization, where we actually have a bell curve of intensity when it comes to calisthenics and cardio. And then the fall and winter is more of a progression of weight training uh, versus the regression of running, just to put on some mass. I'm a swimmer and I do it less than that. Good for you, Steve. No one cares. I need tunes. Yes, tunes would be helpful. All right. So I actually have a podcast I got to get ready for here at 10 o'clock. It's going to be a 2 through and after with former Ranger guy, Ranger bat guy, and we're going to talk about his story. So look for it later. I'll have it posted on YouTube and up on my audio podcasts where you can find podcasts. So yeah, until next week, my friends, I will see you later. You guys have a good one. Oh, before I go, don't forget, you guys can save 20% at stewsmithfitness.com. Use the compete 20 code, save 20%. It's a good deal. We'll see you later.